when you decide.
Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Drinking with Authors. I'm your host, Nick Savage, and as always, this episode is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications, so check them out at their website at fourhorsemenpublications.com. Lots of great authors there, including yours truly. But joining us tonight is Z. Laxon, young adult author, award-winning author. She's got a trilogy out. She's got a standalone book out. She's going to tell us all about that stuff, so you can stop hearing my voice. Z, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Well, let's start with, what are you drinking today?
Oh, I'm so excited, actually, because I am having Ube Whip from Phase 3 Brewery.
What kind of beer is that?
It is a fruited sour ale, but it's not actually sour. So Phase 3 Brewery is local to Illinois. It's where I'm from. But it's a few cities away. So Beer Bazaar Taproom is the one that brought it to me. And I'm super excited because it's got flavors of Filipino ube in it. And when I first heard that they had it, I was like, I need to try this. And it was way better than I expected it to be. Check this out. It's purple.
That is purple. For anyone listening only, that is a dark purple with light foam on top. It is a very interesting looking beer. And it is a sour beer, but it's not actually sour.
No, it tastes very desserty. It tastes like a shake, really.
Okay, so
I'm a little addicted.
For people who are of my persuasion and look this white, what is ube?
Ube is a sweet yam, and it's purple naturally. So every time you use something with ube in it, it turns purple.
Wait a second. Is ube then just the purple? Okay, if you're from Illinois, are you Northern Illinois?
Northern Illinois.
Have you ever been to Wheeling restaurant called Bob Chin's Crab House?
I have not.
They have a purple sweet potato pie, and it's made with the purple yams. Is that going to be ube, or are there different types of purple yams?
Oh, the one I'm familiar with is ube, and ube is making a really big comeback, like a really big entrance here lately. I mean, Starbucks has it.
Oh, Starbucks has it. Then it's just going to.
I mean, it's mainstream now.
Yeah, it's mainstream now. If Starbucks has it. If it is what I'm thinking of, it is actually really delicious, and the purpleness only adds to the awesomeness of the experience, because who doesn't want to eat purple foods, you know?
I know, it's so magical. It really is.
I'm actually originally also from Chicago, so it's nice to talk with other Illinois-based authors.
This one says it has pineapple, coconut, and ice cream notes.
So it's a pina colada with yam undertones.
Let's say yes. But purple. It tastes like purple.
It's a purple pina colada. If it's got coconut and pineapple, I mean, that's your pina colada base right there. But it's but it's purple, which sounds wonderful. But for those who didn't join us just to hear about alcohol, which alcohol is good, I myself am just having a little bit of iced tea, and we'll say something else is in here to give a little kick. You have a series, but that's not why you're here. You want to talk about your newest release, which makes sense as it's newer, and that is Twice Removed.
Yes.
So give me the skinny on the whole thing.
I want to specifically talk about Twice Removed because this month of May is actually Asian American Island Pacificer Heritage Month, API month. So it's very appropriate that I'm talking about Twice Removed, which is the story of 3 generations, 2 families, and 1 monster of Filipino folklore, the Manananggal.
The Manananggal.
You did pretty good.
Did I say that? Okay. I was like, I'm just gonna try that there. One more time for the other non-Filipinos listening. Say it again.
Manananggal.
Manananggal. It's close enough. It's passable. Okay. And before we get into the book, tell us about this monster. What is this? Yeah.
The Manananggal, it comes from the Philippine or the Tagalog word tanggal, which is to remove. And she's a beautiful woman during the day, as most aswangs are. I don't know if you're familiar with the term aswang. It's like the Filipino monster. It's a general term for Filipino monsters.
Okay.
And she is a shapeshifter, conveniently. So a beautiful woman during the day, and at night goes off to where the banana trees are, right? She grows a long tongue, wings, and then splits in half. Wait. I've got visual aids. Ready?
A long tongue with wings and splits in half. And
with wings.
okay.
And then at night, splits in half.
Splits in half.
Just leaves her bottom half there and starts flying around looking for victims. But before daybreak, she has to dock back into her legs like a Roomba. And then she becomes a beautiful woman again.
Okay, so if you've ever studied other cultural kind of folklore and stuff, there are some similarities to other cultures, but this one I have never seen outside of like Dungeons and Dragons monster manuals. I've never seen a creature split in half, just like leave the legs and the waist behind, and just torso and arms and head flying about.
And organs just dangling there. Organs just dangling there as it goes looking for its victims.
So,
and here's the thing: when I was doing like these are monsters I grew up with when I was in the Philippines. So to me, it's as common as werewolves and vampires and zombies. Like, I know these, and then I move here, and I find out no one knows about this, right? So I do research as I'm doing research for this book because I said, people need to know about this.
Yeah.
So as I do research for this book, I find out that despite the wings, the Manananggal doesn't go anywhere beyond the Philippines. The only place it might be are some provinces of Vietnam. And I think those are the provinces that's closest to the Philippines. But it's totally local.
She's kind of bound by the water and then maybe a little past.
I think it might be because her legs are left behind, and so she's got to go back for it.
Got to fly back. So if her organs are dangling, this is just me going off my. Is there like a trail of blood that congeals, so she's not just bleeding the entire night, but like as she first separates, is there just blood everywhere, or is it just organs with a self-contained thing, so it's not bleeding out? How does that work?
Per my experience.
Yeah, for yours, because this is really cool. I feel like I should be doing shots over here.
For my extensive experience seeing this.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that the organs are all there. It's not like spurting blood like a Kill Bill movie. It's really just like all together. Contained, neat,
And since we're talking about bodies splitting in half so she can fly away and find victims, these are young adult books. These are meant for like your junior high school kids.
Yes, they're the good thing about this book is that it's 3 generations, right? So you have it's an immigrant family, and you have the generation of the grandparents that don't speak any English, and then you have the generation of the parents that speak English and Filipino, and then the point of view of the main character who's 17 years old, and he was born here, so he doesn't speak any Filipino, it's just English. So it's really a coming of age kind of book of finding identity, first love sort of thing. It's really more about that, and the monster is really a folklore that comes into play because of the woman or the girl, the high school girl that he meets, and of course has a crush on.
So the monster is not the main character then?
No, okay. The monster just really, really, really influences the main character.
This can go a lot of ways. So I don't know if I want to ask questions that may spoil anything, but the book itself, and from what I've noticed in my research on you, is that your books tend to have the overarching themes of self-identity and identity politics and stuff like that.
Yes, my first trilogy, the trilogy I have has nothing to do with Filipino culture, but it has a lot to do with it's clean romance. It has a lot to do with identity and finding, your place in it. It's also in high school, and it's very much of I call it a cotton candy kind of romance. It's an easy read and fun to go through. The second book in the series in the trilogy is like a paranormal mystery, and the third one is more of like a monster adventure. So Twice Removed is very different in that. Like, and so you said, oh, it can be it's meant for young adults, for kids. But because of the three generations, you can have anybody can actually enjoy the book because they can relate to somebody in the book. So I've had a kid as young as 10 just really get into it, particularly because of the monster. And then I've had adults that go into it and really feel a certain level for it because it is the immigrant experience. And then I've got people that are my age that come in and go, oh my gosh, as a second generation immigrant or first generation American, that's completely my household. And that's really the theme of it, that dual identity is hence Twice Removed. We did Twice Removed because it's actually the difference between the grandparents and the child. That's when you say, like, I'm somebody twice removed from somebody else.
Yeah.
And twice removed being removed from a different country. And then removed because she splits from her half and flies away.
So the title is past the double entendre to like a triple entendre
Yes.
in there for it, which is nice. Very, very nice title on that. Now I know that because it's young adult, the monster, it's not going to be a blood and guts and gore type stuff.
No, not at all. It's actually a curse. It's a family curse that's with the girl Maya that he has a crush on, right? So Jay's our main character. He has a crush on this girl who's half Filipino, half white. Her name is Maya, and she has this curse. And he has to discover a way to stop this curse before her 18th birthday, or she might kill him, or worse, he might have to kill her.
There poses the question of the book. Very nice. Okay. And sorry, I had this thing pop up on my screen, and my ADHD is like middle thought, something pop up. Now it's gone. The magical, the magic, the supernatural in the book is considered magical realism. How can I say this properly? Why did you decide on magical realism and strive for that instead of just going with kind of this dogmatic magic that you never really explain?
I love the magical realism aspect of things because I want to ground it into real life. Like I said, the story or the main storyline of this is really an identity crisis, a coming of age thing. So that's all real things. It's set in New Orleans, which I feel like is the perfect place for all this magic to happen anyway. But it just so happens that Louisiana is also the location of the first Filipino permanent settlement in the United States. So it just all fit together. You've got the magic of New Orleans in there, and it's still grounded in the reality of like the everyday life and all the challenges that you have to go through in all the generations that I write about in this book.
Okay, so wait. I learned something now.
Louisiana you learn many things right now.
I am learning a lot right now. Okay, like I one of my best friends for a number of years was first generation, Filipino, spoke Tagalog, had to teach me how to pronounce Tagalog. Just the one word because I read it like a white person would, and she was like, no. She was like, that was wrong. But that was about the most Filipino thing about her. Like she didn't have any connection to her roots or anything like that. Like you have this connection with, and so there are these 13 tiny states up in the Northeast that were around for a long time before Louisiana was around. So how about people who are not so inclined in history? Do you know when the first Filipino settlement came to the United States?
So in like the 1700s, Spanish galleons came in. They came in as a fishing village. So it's the first permanent residents of the Philippines. They call them the Manila Men.
Okay. Oh, I knew that phrase. Okay. I knew that phrase. So they were actually there before Louisiana was a state then.
Likely, yes.
Okay. Okay.
1700s, so yes.
Yeah. 1776 is, so 17, yeah, there's been 24 years since the founding of the country to get them down there. And I don't.
250 years, by the way.
Yeah. 250. Woo. Hold on. Let's see this. We're going to do this as we're doing this. Louisiana. Oh my God. Louisiana founded. We're going to find this out. 1812. So if they were in the 1700s, yeah, they were founded.
1763, I think.
Oh,
So
then they were around before the country was even founded and stuff. So it's not like Filipinos are like newer to the country. They've been around just as long as anyone has. But their settlement first was in Louisiana. They weren't going up to the 13 colonies. They were like, screw that. We're going down.
We'll go where there's fresh food.
Yeah, fresh food, good seafood down there too. Have you ever been to Louisiana?
Yes. So when I was writing this book, or researching for this book, I specifically made a trip to New Orleans, and I connected with the Philippine Historical Society there, and we did like trips to. So St. Malo is now underwater, and you can still see the Manila Men's Village if you take a boat and you go like, hey, it's down there. But they have a plaque that's like outside New Orleans, I believe, and it talks about the history of St. Malo and honors Filipino settlements and the Filipino history that's in Louisiana. So we did all that. We did the tours. And what we did to make sure is that we researched when in our research is that we spoke to the families that grew up in New Orleans, because the book is based in New Orleans in like 1999. So we spoke to them and we said, what was it like growing up in New Orleans in that time as a Filipino, as a first generation American growing up in the Filipino immigrant family? And they have a lot of commonality, and we picked up on certain things that surprised me. Like New Orleans, for example, is a very diverse like population, right?
Yeah.
Like you go there and it's colorful and it's loud and it's a mix of different things. But in private school, it is predominantly white. So there is still that distance or that divide in the population. So that's something that I didn't consider when I first came there, just assuming that, oh, it's a diverse culture and stuff. But if you're growing up and you go to private school, it's completely different experience.
Understandably so. Growing up, even where I grew up, right outside Chicago, there were 2, 3 Asian kids in my school. In my grade, I should say, not my whole school. I'm trying to think quickly, not to like stall here. Like, okay, maybe 3 or 4 that I can recall. Like, not a lot. And it wasn't like Chicago was that like homogenous of a city. It was pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Especially where I grew up. So to only have like less than a handful of, that's not, I can understand that being a very different experience from what the demographic may otherwise say, but the lived experience is going to be very different on that.
Yes. So that feeds into the story, that feeds into the experience, so that people can identify what it was like or recognize what it was like. After I wrote this, the most meaningful responses I get were from second generation immigrants or first generation Americans that are trying to identify their culture. They're feeling caught in between. And I have kids. So as I'm writing this for them, I'm thinking, as Americans, when they come in, their skin color is going to identify them as, where are you really from? And so, but they're like, this is all they know. But then if you bring them to the Philippines, everyone's going to say, hey, American boy, you've got this accent. You're not Filipino, you're American. So like neither space that they go to, they don't fit in necessarily. And this is what this book is really about. It's like defining your own space, identifying yourself, and making room for you.
And I will say, and I will admit on camera to the world, I have been the, excuse my language, dumbass who has said something along those lines. And it wasn't meant to be like this racist, biggity thing. It was literally me not thinking of the words like what heritage or, nationality or ancestors or any of those other words you can use. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until I had a good friend who introduced me to all his friends. So I was the only white guy there, and they were all like South Korean, Taiwanese, you know what I'm saying? Just all these Asian nationalities. And it was so intriguing to me that he was like, just ask like ancestry or something. Just don't say that word. Don't say words. Don't say that phrase. And it really opened my eyes to like, wow, that does sound like your being, and it wasn't ever meant in that prejudice way. And sometimes people just have to be pointed out, you sound like an ass. Why don't you ask it like this?
And on the other hand of things, like when you're in the receiving end of it, I always try to give the other person the benefit of the doubt. You don't describe malice where there's dumbassery, as you say.
Yeah. So never mistake ignorance for malice. Sometimes we're just dumb and don't know how to ask things properly.
So you answer the best that you can, and then you explain the best that you can, and then you educate as much as you can.
Yeah. Like people don't look at me and go, where are you really from? Because I look as white as I do and I have the Chicago accent. They're like, oh, you're from Chicago. But like on the same note, if they want to know my nationality, they just go, oh, what nationality are you? Because I'm not like, oh, I'm American. I'm like, oh, I'm Italian and Irish, because that's where my, ancestors are from, but if for whatever reason, as soon as the skin gets darker than this, or something changes, they're like, where are you really from? And it's like, it's one thing, and they have to say this because I've been the dumbass before. It's one thing when you're like 20 or like 19 or 15, and you're kind of, and I guess nowadays it's different, because when I was like 19 and 20, like the world wasn't, 9/11 changed a lot. Those attacks changed a lot in the way we perceive the world. But like when you're just first branching out into making friends who don't look like you, and you're growing up and realizing people are different. It's one thing to make the mistake once or twice, but to continue to do it into your 30s and 40s is just being willfully ignorant. So learn.
Yeah, learn.
Hey, where are you from? And when someone who looks like you says, oh, I'm from Illinois, cool. What's your nationality is a very different question than where are you from?
Like we do better when we know better, right? Or at least we should anyway.
No, we should. But again, if you don't, that's the wolf for ignorance coming in. Sorry, I had to make that little PSA because it honestly, being able to better yourself takes 2 seconds to be a better person, and it costs.
Thank you for attending our TED Talk.
Yes, we're gonna go on national tour soon. No, we're not. Jesus Christ! You know how fun that would be, though. Be the world's funniest TED Talk.
How not to be a dumbass. That's how it's gonna be called. That's the title of it.
Yeah. How not. God, you're so much fun. Thank you. Thank you for being able to laugh at me and understand that this stuff. Okay, but you were talking about the Manila men and the town, their settlement, the town of Saint
Malo.
Saint Malo. Thank you, because my memory is, I got the same part. What the hell do you mean it's underwater? It's underwater. What do you mean it's underwater?
Lots of hurricanes that came in, and finally one absolutely demolished it.
And okay, so you got to scuba dive in order to see this thing.
Yeah, I think you can charter a boat and look at it. I didn't get to look at it, but that's what I was told.
Oh, that is nuts.
So in one area where they had put up the plaque that's honoring St. Malo and the Manila men, they also had samples of what their houses would look like, it's like a museum, like an open museum for people. Yeah. So that was rather nice.
Okay, so here's my question. Here's my question about the settlement of the Manila men and the creature whose name I already can't pronounce again. say
The
it for me.
Manananggal.
Manananggal. Does the settlement and the immigration of the creature, because clearly no white person knows about this, so does the immigration of it to this country have to do with the settlement, or does it just happen to take place in the New Orleans area?
So, like the settlement or the story of the settlement is also history in the book because the book takes place in 1999. So it's not an active thing, but it just is in the book to kind of anchor the main character to say, hey, you have roots here too. And it talks about somebody else in the community. And this is one of the fun things that I learned when I was in New Orleans is that so many people in the community do identify as Filipino because they've been there since 1700. So at some point, the bloodlines have turned into like, you part Filipino from so and so and so and so far away, right? Like you might not look Filipino, but they might still identify as Filipino because my great 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 grandmother made me adobo, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's really cool the number of people that identify themselves as Filipino or who are so interested in the Filipino culture or want to preserve it and capture it. And we saw that really strongly there. I mean, Chicago has a Filipino Historical Society in the city as well. And it was really nice because that's actually how I was connected to the one that's in New Orleans. But there is this feeling of what they call kapwa, which is like a feeling of community that they have there. And then I really love how that plays into the book too. I said there's somebody there who's black or who's Cajun, but still part of him is still Filipino. So then he's like trying to investigate that side of his family and learning more about the Filipino history, that sort of thing. And that's what it plays into in the book. And for the main character, he kind of gets to see that there's not just one kind of Filipino. It's that doesn't make you the legit Filipino, that there's all these different levels that you can be Filipino, you can be Filipino American, and you're still legit. And I wanted to put those examples into the book, which is why the history was important to play into the story.
No, and that's kind of what I was getting at with the question. It's a very well kind of founded history and backstory to the book to be able to incorporate all that, which again just plays into the themes of identity and stuff like that and finding oneself. So it sounds like a wonderful book, and having monsters is always great because
I think it's a great book too.
monsters are fun. So are you done with the Manananggal, or are you going to write more with her?
No, this is a standalone book. I am working on a second one. I'm about 2 chapters away from the first draft being completed. It's also got Filipino folklore in it, but not a monster this time.
Not a
more of a diwata. And the difference is in this one, in Twice Removed, it takes place in the United States, and it's somebody that's a first generation American dealing with his culture.
Okay.
In the next book, it's somebody who was born here but takes a summer into the Philippines and then feels a different kind of culture shock being there. But the main story is really about somebody, Filipina, who is a precog. She can see the future, but when she goes to the Philippines, she starts dreaming about somebody else's past.
Oh, that sounds so cool. And I'm assuming the dreams will then play into the plot and what her journey is for the. Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yes.
Again,
this one is not. Sorry.
No. You might be answering my question. Continue. Screw me. I don't need to
I
talk.
said this one actually isn't young adult. It's more of new adult because it takes place after high school. And now her issues aren't necessarily the whole, oh, it's my first crush or my first love. Her issues are more of like, what am I going to do with my future now? Which I think is what plagues a lot of people. Like you get out of school and then like her boyfriend has this on the fast track of academia and like knows exactly what he wants his degree to be, and her best friend is like, I'm going to start a business and I'm being successful in it already, and she's quite not in either side, so she feels like, oh, I'm just floundering here. And I think that's a lot of young people. We don't know what we want to do with our lives immediately after high school.
I think a lot of people don't know what they want to do even after they retire. Like, they're like, yeah, that's what I did for like 40 years. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but
Right. I just fell into it. I got the opportunity, so I did it, and I did it for 40 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where I think young people, especially in high school, and I can only speak of my experience, of the American high school system. I've been to Canada once and Mexico a handful of times. Like it's not like anything to write about. It's not enough experience. But like in the high school educational system, about sophomore year, they're like, all right, start thinking about your future. And you're like, I got 3 years left of high school. By the end of high school, you have to have your college picked out, and then you're going to want to pick a major, and that major is what you're going to be doing for the next 40 years until you retire. And this is what your whole education is about. And it's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm in high school. I'm still like learning about new musical styles and like different, and I'm not saying I did this, but different drugs that are out there to try. Like, let
Disclaimer, the
alone,
disclaimer. I'm not
yeah,
saying, I'm just saying it
yeah,
was there.
like, let alone thinking about what I want to do for the next 40 years.
I mean, think about it. You're 15 when you enter high school. You're 16 when they tell you, okay, what are you going to be doing for the rest of your life? You don't even know who you are yet.
No,
But
you don't.
you don't. You graduate 18 and they're saying to you, okay, you're not mature enough to drink yet, but you're mature enough to plan out the rest of your life responsibly.
Yeah. Not mature enough to drink, not mature enough to vote. Hell,
You
this is
can
what I
vote when
love
you're
about
18.
you can vote when you're 18, you can drink when you're 21. You still can't rent a car until you're 25.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That is the last major milestone of your life is like for the aged milestones. It's not like you turn 50 and they're like, oh, now you can get a free home. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean, if you really want to look at it that way, the next major milestone is you're 55. You can move into a 55 and older community
Active
without needing to get
seniors.
social. Yeah, but like, it's like, come on, you're 16. They want you to know
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to do with the rest of your life, and having books, having stories that are meant for that age group to then read about and go, oh, I'm not alone in this, is going to give them something that is relatable to them and something that'll make them feel like they're not doing life wrong.
Yes, that's what I hope. I want people to read it and go, oh, great, I'm not a loser. This is normal. It's normal not to know what to do with your future. And so what I did was with the story that I'm writing is that the unique part of her is that supposedly she can tell the future, but it's not really helping her figure out her own.
And that's wonderful because they're either going to come away from this going, great, I'm not a loser, or wait, we're all just losers, which I think I think on that note, if everybody's a loser, nobody's a loser. So there's that way to look at it too.
We pull
Um,
back the curtain.
so as an author, we grow and we try and better our books as we write, and always grow and better ourselves and stuff like that. Um, what made you change from the clean romance in the first series, with Revenant and Reverie and Reveal, which I can't pronounce because it's a French word.
Privé.
I'm like, it's a French word. I can't pronounce it. Um, what made you go from the clean romance to the magical realism with the folklore and stuff like that, and just kind of shift?
Yeah, so the trilogy is actually still magical realism. It's a story of a teenager that falls in love with a boy she only sees in her dreams. So there's already that magical element in it. And it was like this whole sweet thing and whatever. And I really loved it. And it got me, like, I mean, I love the books. I love the trilogy. I really enjoy that. And I was ready to write a different type of book also. But then I had a conversation with a friend who had visited the Philippines when she was younger. And the conversation starts going first, of course, the food and what she had loved about it and what she had missed and what I can make for her, please. And then it became talking about folklore. And then when I talked about the Manananggal, it just blew her away. And I thought, hey, I could write a story about this. And honestly, I was really actually scared because it's so niche, right? Like I'm writing an immigrant story for to begin with, which, it can be polarizing
Yeah.
sometimes. So it's I'm afraid. I was kind of like afraid to write about it. And then I thought, you know what? I should write about this. I should write about like a journey of something that's personal to me, that's a little bit closer to home, and something for my kids to be able to like relate to and bring my culture in. And interestingly enough, right, I grew up in the Philippines, but my first language is English. My dad probably figured like, hey, you live in the Philippines, you will learn Filipino, but I'm trying to give you an edge in the whole business world, so learn English first. But the problem with that is I didn't pick up Filipino quite as easily, so I got made fun of when I was in school. And people were telling me, like my teachers would tell me, "Oh, you're not Filipino enough. You're way too westernized. You don't have this loyalty to the country that you should have," which I kind of feel like, okay, then you're like shutting me out already. It's like I'm an immigrant in my own country type of thing. So
Yeah.
like I felt like I got shut out. And then moving here also, I didn't necessarily look for Filipino communities because it was kind of like, yeah, I left that. People were telling me that I wasn't good enough, right? So then I come here, but like in the Midwest, like you said, it's not as diverse necessarily in the smaller towns. And I live in a small town. So then it turns out I end up becoming the representative of Filipinos everywhere because I'm the only one they've ever met. So then they go up to me and they start asking me questions about Philippine culture, which I can answer to the point that because I've experienced it and grew up with it. And it's then that I realized, it's not just the language that makes you what you are, like part of a culture. It's these places, it's these experiences, it's your
Yeah.
family dynamic. It's all of this that come together and then teach you like, hey, this is why you are part of this community. This is why you belong, right? And I learned that through this experience, which I felt was important to put into a book. And so like I wrote this thinking that it's going to be cool. It'll reach that niche population and but it's going to be hard to market is kind of like what I thought. But it turns out readers are really want to know more. They're looking for diverse books. People from the Philippine community are looking for representation. So when they
Yeah.
find, they're like, hold on to it, and then they'll read it. And then what I love too is that I've had different communities that are not necessarily Filipino, but because it's an immigrant experience, they can totally relate to what was going on in the book, and they've come up to me and they said, "Oh, the trauma is real. It's my mother talking." It's like the same thing. And I love that because it's like a bridge between all these communities and all of this. So this book actually kind of exploded, bigger than I thought it was going to be, and further than I would have thought it was going to go. I'm so happy about that.
That's what we all hope for. We write because there's a story to tell, and then we just hope that it reaches an audience, and it's not it reaches beyond the audience that you thought it would. Now, here's a question, because I know cryptids are generally like animal, kind of like Mothman and stuff like that. She's not considered a cryptid then, because she's a human who just turns into a creature. She's
Yes,
just
yes.
okay.
She's just a
Wait, yes,
beautiful woman.
she's
Yeah.
just okay. So she's not a cryptid. She's
No.
just folklore of sorts. And you did mention the new book has a folklore, but it's different. And you said some word I didn't recognize.
Diwata is like a spirit or
Oh, okay.
a goddess. No, like a spirit. So she's our protector. Like in this one, she's
Oh, she's
Maria
not evil.
Makiling, the Diwata of the forest or the Diwata of the mountain. So she is the spirit of the mountain or the protector of the mountain.
Okay, so you're doing a 180 from an evil kind of thing to a protector.
I
I don't
want to
know.
say, look, Filipino folklore isn't all just monsters.
Have you seen American folklore? It's all monsters. It's all monsters. Anywhere you go. I mean, you go down to Mexico, Texas, you got the chupacabra in that Tex-Mex area. Uh, you got the Bigfoot up in the northwest. You got the Appalachian. Sorry for anyone
Oh,
who
but
knows
you're
more
just talking
Appalachian.
about all these monsters. But when you talk about folklore, like in American folklore, you have Paul Bunyan. You've got
Oh, I didn't
um,
even think about that. Yeah,
you've
you
got
got
all
Paul
these
Bunyan, you got
stories.
Johnny Appleseed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I always think of folklore as like monsters and creatures
Yes,
and stuff. It's
yes.
yeah. Oh my God, I've watched way too many horror movies in my life. They're
But
like
you're not the
half of
only
it's
one.
just
I think
gone.
that's the common thing. That's the common thing when people think about folklore, is they'll think about monsters. So I'm hoping that this book will be different, you know, think
No,
differently.
that'll be wonderful. That'll be wonderful. Now, okay, I have to ask. There's a lot of people right now who are listening to this and want to get your books. So where can we find you?
Technically, you should be able to get it anywhere books are sold. I mean, they are on the shelves of some independent bookstores, but you should be able to order it in any main bookstore, any place where they sell books. And if you want it in your library, go to your librarian and ask them to have it in the library. They are in libraries like all over the state, so it is possible.
It is possible. Okay. And where are you on your social medias?
Zeelaxon.com, zeelacson.com is my main website. On Instagram and TikTok, it's Zeelaxon. But on Facebook, it's reverythebook.com because it's just Reverie the Book, because clearly I didn't think I was going to write more than one book.
You can change that. You can.
Can I?
That. You can. And then you'll just have to update your website, and people who follow you will automatically still follow you and stuff like that.
But I'm going to look into that.
I'll tell you how to do that afterwards, because that's just kind of weird to talk about. But I've done it many times to finally get them all under one banner. So yeah, it is doable.
That's good to know. So Zeelaxon.com. Zeelaxon should be enough.
Zeelaxon will be everything eventually.
Yes.
So if it's not Reverie Book, just and it is ZEE for anyone listening.
Yeah.
It's not just the letter. She's got a full name there.
Because if it's just the letter, it would be Z. And if it would be ZE, it would be Z. So it has to be ZE, so it's Z.
But that is a very non-USA thing. I don't know. I grew up learning XYZ. Z is a very British way of saying that letter. So it is. But I like it. I like the fact that it's Z. It gives it a little like oomph. You know.
I'd be in Men in Black.
Yeah, it changes the alphabet song though. If you had to say X, Y, Z, that'd just be a little different for the kids. And then of course you'd have all the parents growing up going, "It's anti." You know, it's people have to cling on to what they know. Change is bad to a lot of people. But I like the Z. It's really cool like that. If you had one piece of writing advice that you could give to an aspiring author, what would that be?
Write without fear.
Ooh.
Edit without mercy, but write without fear.
Edit without. Oh, that's a good plaque to have on your wall, or a good tattoo if you're going to be serious about writing. Edit without mercy and write without fear.
There was an author, and it behooves me to know, like I can't remember his name, but he's the person that first said that, and I read it and I said that can be a tattoo.
Yeah.
Write without fear and edit without mercy.
It also sounds like if the Cobra Kai dojo were writers, that would have been their slogan. Just instead of the Cobra, it's a book in the middle. It says, "Write without fear, edit without mercy."
Edit without mercy.
That is wonderful. God, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been an eye-opening and educational experience, to put it mildly, but you are an absolute blast to chat with. And I always love meeting people from my home state. So thank you.
Where you're from?
Yeah, like Chicago originally, you know, and stuff. And it's always nice. I didn't ask your town because you said small town, so you avoided the name. So I'm not going to push. That way people have be like, oh, just look up the one Filipino person in that town. And then you have to answer more questions. I don't know much about Filipino culture or anything like that, like outside of what my one friend taught me, who had no ties to her Filipino heritage. But I do know there's like my wife has a cousin, like an adopted cousin, who was like Filipino, as the people who grew up saying you weren't Filipino enough, she would be Filipino enough.
Filipino enough.
She grew up eating like this ice cream with green beans on top of it.
Oh, halo.
Halo. Sure, you
yes.
know what that's a thing, I guess.
What? Oh, it's a big thing.
What kind of green? Can you explain this dessert to me, because it seems very strange? And
it is actually just shaved ice. So it's shaved ice. That's your base. It's not quite an ice cream, it's just shaved ice on top of it. And then they put like syrups. The green beans are actually just a jelly of some kind. It's like a green jelly just shaped like in the beans. And they do have red beans in it because it's sweet,
Yeah.
but they also put they have makopuno in it, and then they have like sweet fruits, shredded fruits in it. They have ube ice cream normally that they put on top of it. And importantly, they have condensed milk and evaporated milk like all over the thing. And they
Okay.
call it halo halo, which is essentially mix, and then you just mix it all together and then you eat it. And it's delicious.
Okay. So it's not just like the green giant bag of frozen green beans on top of like
Not at all.
okay,
It's a
because
jelly.
okay, because she had only seen this when she was like a kid. So in her mind, you see things and then like, you know what I'm saying, your memories form. It's a green jelly that's stringed out, strung out. It's not on drugs, stringed out. Yeah. And then it's got like shaved ice. Okay, that sounds way better than the way I had heard it described to me. That
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like something if I went to a Filipino market and somebody was like, hey, try this, I would look at it and be like, hell yeah, let me try that.
Yeah, it's sweet beans, whatever. If there are beans in it, it would be like sweet beans, and it's all just very sweet. It's a dessert, and it's great.
And it's halo, which just translates to mix.
Yep.
Halo. And is halo like Tagalog then, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. I know there's a few dialects over there, but I'm going to assume anything I hear from here on out is just Tagalog because
So Tagalog is the dialect that is in the business sector in Manila, Metro Manila. So like in the main Metro Manila, it's Tagalog that they use.
okay.
And when I was younger, like really young, Tagalog was the national language. And then as I got older, they changed it to Filipino. So Filipino is the national language, and it incorporates other dialects also in it from the Visayas region, from the Mindanao region. So there are certain words that aren't necessarily Tagalog, but Tagalog is still the predominant dialect, I guess, that they
Okay.
use.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It makes sense because if you go to certain parts of this country, you're not going to understand what they're saying because they have their own dialects, but it's still English. So no,
Yes.
I definitely understand that.
We have like thousands of islands. It's really going to be very difficult to like coordinate everything in. You know,
Yeah.
the actual alphabet of the Philippines changed as I was getting older. Like the number of letters that were in it. Like when I was a kid, there was the double L in it and the Enya in it. And then as I got older, they dropped that and it just became abacada. Like, and I don't even know what the national alphabet is anymore because they've changed it 3 times when I was growing up there.
They're figuring things out.
It's a young country.
But that's the thing is countries evolve and cultures evolve and
Yes.
change. And if you can't,
Language evolves.
yeah, language definitely evolves.
Mhm.
And if you try too hard to hold on to something that's constantly changing, you're just going to get left behind. You have to be able to change with it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my God. No. Well, thank you so much for being here. Everybody who's tuned in and listened or watched on YouTube, thank you so much. Give Z a follow. Give Drinking with Authors a follow. Hell, give me a follow. Just, the pity follow. Why not? But thank you so much. Follow, like, share, all that jazz. Tell your friends about it. Turn it into a drinking game. Anytime I stutter, you just take a shot. You'll be roaring drunk by the end of the episode. It'll be fun. But God, Z, it'll be fun to have you back with your next book.
I'd love that.
Yeah, thank you. But everyone, just remember, until next time, it costs nothing to be kind. Z, stick around. Everyone else,
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.